Now that's more like it, TNA. Thank you. After the last year of some pretty questionable pay-per-view outings, I kind of get into the habit of trying to hope for the best, but always having this fear in the back of my head that things might go horribly wrong. Destination X Victory Road, for example. So I have to say, to finally have a TNA pay-per-view that actually looked great on paper and really delivered the goods was just a huge breath of fresh air. I think Turning Point was TNA's best pay-per-view of the year in my opinion, better than Bound for Glory. And I thought Bound for Glory was a really strong show overall, but TNA really hit a home run this month. I mean, from top to bottom, this was a great pay-per-view. Even the matches that weren't really noteworthy managed to deliver enough to make them at least solid and interesting, with the exception of the stuff that we all knew was going to be bad in the first place. But then you had the final two matches of the show, two match of the year contenders back to back. Kurt Angle and Desmond Wolfe put on a wrestling clinic. And then there was the main event, triple threat for the world title, and good lord, I mean, I'll get to that match in a few minutes. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, to start off, we had Amazing Red defending the X Division title against Homicide. Very good opener. I thought, I love that this was a one-on-one match for the title. I'm just going to say that one more time. I mean, we don't get to see enough one-on-one matches in the X Division these days. And I love that TNA seem to be really getting behind Amazing Red. They're pushing him hard, and the fans are really responding to him. It seems like he gets more over every week now. I mean, going in, I really hoped that Red would retain here to even the score with Homicide. But they've been pushing Homicide pretty aggressively too, so I wasn't sure if that was in the cards. But Red went over, which is exactly what should have happened. I think they're really establishing him as a strong champion now. I think Homicide will win the title before too long, but at this point, I think it was just a little too soon to take the belt off of Red. I mean, the match had a clean finish too. Thank God. I mean, with this gimmick that they're doing with Homicide right now, with him going completely psycho and out of control, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, I was sure he was going to go for a steel chair or a barbed wire bat or something, and that might be coming up next, but for now, we get a strong match with a clean finish. That makes me happy. Next, 6 knockout tag team match with all the belts on the line. ODB, Sarita, and Taylor Wilde versus the Beautiful People. Really not much to say about this one, but I hope and pray that Dixie Carter was paying attention to the crowd. Because when you got a fan in the audience with a sign that says Lacey Von Botch, when the crowd chants "You can't wrestle" at Lacey when she gets in the ring, don't you think that's a sign that you should not be giving this woman title shots? Whatever. Babyfaces go over, so none of the belts change hands, thank God. And for Christ's sake, let this be the end of the Beautiful People's push. I'm begging you. Bobby Lashley versus Scott Steiner. Like I said, really didn't care about this one at all. I think this feud is atrocious. And the fact that Steiner actually went over just means it's going to continue for another month. And does anyone really want to see that? I mean, the match actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But what is the point of putting Scott Steiner over Bobby Lashley? Are you kidding me? I mean, if he's signing that Strikeforce contract and possibly leaving TNA, then I get that you want to have him put someone over before he goes. But Scott Steiner? Why? That doesn't do anything for anyone. Rhino and Team 3D versus Matt Morgan Hernandez and D'Angelo Dinero. This kind of felt like an Impact match to me, to be honest. I think the build-up was focused a little bit too much on Rhino trying to get 3D on his side, and not focused enough on building up the actual match itself. And the match was perfectly fine. I mean, I thought the Pope really stood out and came off like a big star. It just didn't feel like this match should have gone to pay-per-view just yet, you know what I mean? Really didn't agree with the veterans winning here, but if these guys are going to be the main people opposed to this youth movement, then I guess it made sense to put them over and make them look strong at first so Rhino can hold on to whatever meager shred of credibility he has left. British Invasion versus Beer Money versus Motor City Machine Guns for the tag team titles. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more out of this one. It seemed like it kind of got stalled in second gear. I mean, everything was going great until Nash came out. How's that for irony? Because when Nash came out, that was when the whole thing lapsed into the vintage Russo booking, where the storyline is 10 times more important than the match. Now, I actually liked the swerve itself, with Nash helping Eric Young, just because it was really surprising. I didn't expect it. but it felt like too much of the match hinged on this, and I didn't like that because the match was just inconsequential at that point. Now, I do think the finish was the right one. The British Invasion should have retained the titles, and as much as I like Beer Money, I'm glad they're the ones who got pinned because now the Motor City Machine Guns have grounds for a rematch, which is great because that crowd definitely wanted the Guns to go over here. Tara versus Awesome Kong and the Six Sides of Steel. For a women's cage match, I thought this was pretty good. Kind of slow in the beginning when Kong was dominating so much, but it picked up when Tara started fighting back. I think Kong's missile dropkick was great. The finish was really cool with Tara diving off the top of the cage. I'd say this match was solid, but it probably could have been a lot better if they'd just given it more time. I mean, you build up to this match for 6 months, and then you only give it 8 minutes? 8 minutes? That's ridiculous. This thing should have been like 10 or 12 minutes at least. Good match, it just really needed more time. Kurt Angle versus Desmond Wolfe. Here's where it starts getting interesting, okay? Just, wow. Alright, I knew this match was going to be good. I didn't think it was going to be this good. I mean, the way this played out, it was like Wolfe was actually wrestling on the same level as Kurt Angle. I mean, he was matching Kurt hold for hold, like with that great sequence where they kept going for a submission and the other guy kept reversing it. I mean, great stuff there. I mean, even little nuances they threw in there, like Kurt escaping the Tower of London the first time, but then Wolfe hitting it on the second time to show he was wearing Kurt down. I mean, they really earned those "This Is Wrestling" chants. And I just found out yesterday that Kurt actually threw his back out early in the match and then gutted it out for the next 15 minutes. I mean, I can't believe he hit 6 Germans in a row with a bad back. That's just insane. Just a fantastic match. Angle goes over, but Wolfe gets established as someone who can take Kurt Angle to the limit. I mean, he kicked out of the Angle Slam, for God's sake. I mean, they really put this guy over huge, except for the fact that he didn't actually win the match. I mean, I can't say enough about this one. I mean, Dixie Carter called this a match of the year contender, and she wasn't kidding. But as good as this match was, the main event was even better. AJ, Joe, Daniels 2, oh my God. I mean, going in, I didn't think there was any way possible that they were going to top the Unbreakable 3-Way, and I don't think they topped it, but man, they came really damn close to matching it. I mean, the atmosphere was so awesome for this thing. There were people in the crowd throwing streamers just like they do in Japan, like during the intros, and then there were "Screw You Hogan" chants during the match. I loved that. And what a spectacle these guys put on. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better match than this. I mean, they gave these guys the time, and they tore the house down for like 22 straight minutes. I love that nod they had to the Unbreakable match, where they had the spot where AJ was in the corner and Joe threw Daniels into him, but then Daniels hit a monkey flip on AJ, and AJ landed on Joe, and he turned it into Joe, and he hit a Hurricane Rana on Joe. And then in this match, they had that exact same sequence, except when AJ hit the Hurricane Rana, Joe had the move scouted and turned it into a power bomb onto Daniels instead. Awesome psychology there. And something else that was great was that before the match, I thought Daniels hadn't been built up well. I mean, they kind of made him look like a chump on Impact, basically. But out of everyone in this match, I think he was probably booked the strongest. And they had that cool spot where he had Joe in a Boston Crab and AJ in a camel clutch at the same time. And then at the end, where he had the match won until AJ got the jump on him and stole the pin with the 450 splash. Looks like that feud isn't over. I mean, I'd love to see AJ and Daniels have a singles match at Final Resolution. I don't know what they're going to do with Joe now, though. Oh, one more thing. Clean finish. No run-ins from Tomko, mystery attacker, whatever. Clean finish. Sweet Jesus, hallelujah. Anyway, this was another match of the year contender, and the best pay-per-view main event TNA has had since... hell, probably since Unbreakable 05. It was that good. And believe me, I'm not trying to oversell this thing. I'm being totally honest. I mean, Taz even said on his Twitter page that this was one of the top 3 wrestling pay-per-views he's ever called. If you didn't order this pay-per-view, you need to see it. Just for, the double main event alone. I think those 2 matches made this show worth my money, and the undercard was definitely worth seeing too. I think Turning Point was a great pay-per-view all around. I was very happy when this show was over. So good job, TNA. Now let's see if you can do it again next month. See ya.